looks like Lil Baby just got caught with his pants down.
I knew that Jay Shot or John Smith was a close associate of the leader of 4PF, Dominique Lil Baby Jones.
Investigators caught him in 4K being tied to bounties being put on people's heads.
Bruh, she just said that they recovered the messages that was sent in disappearing mode.
Let's get into it. How disappearing messages became permanent records. Let's rewind to May 2024. Lil Baby's at the peak of his game chart-topping albums, business investments all over the A, and seemingly moving away from any street entanglements. He's filming a music video in Atlanta, just another day in the life of one of rap's biggest stars. But according to what's now coming out in court, Baby had no idea he was stepping into what prosecutors are calling rival gang territory, specifically an area claimed by a group called the Goodfellas and their subset known as Only My Family, OMF. What Lil Baby might have seen as just another video shoot location, Atlanta PD saw as something way more provocative. During the filming, gunfire erupted, hitting 3 people who thankfully survived. But what Lil Baby couldn't have known was that this incident would set off a chain reaction, resulting in multiple deaths, including 2 13-year-old boys, and ultimately lead back to him in ways he never could have anticipated. The most shocking aspect? Those Instagram DMs and supposedly disappearing messages that people thought would vanish forever, they didn't disappear at all. During recent court proceedings for members of the Goodfellas gang, an Atlanta gang investigator named Marissa Viverito dropped a bombshell that's got everybody in the streets. What she revealed was that law enforcement had recovered messages that were sent in disappearing mode on Instagram. Let that sink in. Those messages that supposedly self-destruct after viewing, the feds got them, all of them. As one person explained during testimony.
Just a brief interruption. Being a criminal is so difficult, bruh. And I hope all you criminals and street dudes is listening, bruh. She just said that they recovered the messages that was sent in disappearing mode. Y'all be thinking that things like Snapchat and Instagram disappearing mode, those things are Fed proof. They're not Fed proof at all, bro. Being a criminal is so hard nowadays, bro. The messages that quote unquote disappeared on Instagram for you is still being hosted. And they was able to pull the messages that was sent in disappearing mode, self-snitching, and use it to indict them on a RICO. Oh my. Yo, the streets is cold, bro.
Now, a lot of y'all might be wondering, what exactly were in these messages that got the feds so interested in Lil Baby? Well, during court proceedings, Viverito testified about messages between someone named Keontae Sanders, aka Midnight, and a person called Jay Shot. When asked about the significance, she dropped this bomb.
I knew that Jay Shot or John Smith was a close associate of the leader of 4PF, Dominique Lil Baby Jones.
This started building the connection between Lil Baby and others involved in what prosecutors are painting as gang activities. But the real shocker came when Viverito presented wiretap evidence of a conversation where someone mentioned Lil Baby had put tickets on people's heads.
We just heard somebody say these folks got tickets on these people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unk, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unk.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders?
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
A price on somebody's head.
What do you mean by, what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty.
Okay. To have them arrested?
Harmed or killed.
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
They were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on a lot of people's heads.
Dominique Jones wanted to have people harmed.
Correct.
Now notice something crucial here. This isn't direct evidence of Lil Baby ordering anything. It's someone on a wiretap saying they believe or had heard that Baby had bounties out. But in the game of building a RICO case, prosecutors often use this kind of hearsay as building blocks for a bigger picture. What's wild is that Lil Baby probably never imagined these private communications would be preserved, let alone presented in court. Like most people, he might have assumed that disappearing messages actually, disappeared. But as we're seeing play out in real time, the digital footprint is damn near impossible to erase completely. Now, before we go any further, it's important to note that Lil Baby and his legal team have consistently denied any involvement in criminal activity. His attorneys, Drew Findling and Marissa Goldberg, have called the allegations complete and total nonsense. They've emphasized that decisions about music video locations are made by professional teams, not individual artists, and that it's disgraceful to suggest Baby couldn't film in his own hometown, a place he's invested in and uplifted. Lil Baby himself addressed the rumors on Instagram, Instagram, simply posting, "Thanks for all the concerns. Please don't be misinformed by fake news. I'm overly good." But here's where the digital trap gets extra complicated. While these initial allegations were brewing, something crucial happened behind the scenes that brings us to our second part. Rumors began circulating that a full-blown RICO case against Lil Baby and 4PF is in the works. And it all started with a misunderstood statement from an unexpected source. The misunderstood statement. You've probably seen the headlines screaming that Lil Baby is about to get hit with a RICO case any day now. These rumors spread like wildfire on social media, with numerous outlets reporting that a RICO indictment against Lil Baby and 4PF was imminent, possibly coming within 90 days. But here's where things get really interesting. The source of these rumors appears to be a massive misunderstanding. On March 31st, 2025, journalist George Chitty published an article in the Atlanta Objective that mentioned Sean Hoover, who manages the Georgia Public Defenders Council's specialized unit on gang cases. According to Chitty, Hoover said his office is actively preparing for a racketeering indictment on the 4PF and OMF cases, and that he expects Lil Baby to be indicted with others. This statement quickly got picked up by No Jumper and spread across social media, with many interpreting it as confirmation that charges were imminent. But there's a critical detail that seems to have been missed by almost everybody reporting on this. Sean Hoover works for the Georgia Public Defenders Council. He's not a prosecutor, he's a public defender. His job isn't to bring charges against people, it's to defend those who can't afford legal representation. So when Hoover says his office is preparing for a RICO indictment, he's not saying they're building a case against Lil Baby. He's saying they're getting ready to defend people who might be charged in connection with such a case. This crucial distinction seems to have been lost in the rush to report on a potential high-profile indictment. As of April 5th, 2025, no official confirmation of any RICO charges against Lil Baby has emerged from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, which would be the entity actually bringing such charges. The misunderstanding highlights how easily rumors can spread in high-profile cases, especially when complex legal terminology is involved. A statement about preparing to defend against potential charges somehow transformed into confirmation that those charges are imminent. What's even crazier is how this rumor has taken on a life of its own. People started claiming they had inside info about a 90-day timeline for indictment.
Squad, I'm talking about okay, shout out to Poetic Flacco. But every time I wake up, it's something new and crazy going on, gang. 2025 has been wicked. Let's just start there. You feel me? They saying that these murders are the reason why Lil Baby will be locked up for a RICO indictment in the next 90 days. It's going down. FBI, open
The
feds trying to do
Lil Baby is cooked. It's
sweet.
Over, bruh. When I first seen the initial reports today, I made my calls. And what I was told was, expect for Lil Baby to be indicted on a RICO within 90 days.
That's insane to me.
You're probably asking.
But with this new context about Hoover's actual role as a public defender, we have to question whether these timelines have any basis in reality or are just speculation built on a misunderstanding. What makes this even more complicated is how the Atlanta Police Department has been handling the situation publicly. During a press conference in February 2025, Major Ralph Woolfolk made some pretty strong statements without directly naming Lil Baby.
Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city. And cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
This unusual approach of publicly implicating someone without naming them or charging them has drawn criticism from legal observers.
Shooting a music video is not against the law. Shooting a music video wherever you want is not against the law. But it just seems odd to make those allegations, like Charlamagne said, without charging somebody. Like, it's almost like they're spitting gossip. Like, charge somebody. Don't say somebody's cowardly. Don't say none of that stuff. You charge them, and then you could have those claims, in my opinion.
And I ain't gonna lie, I still don't know what's going on.
What Charlemagne the God is highlighting here is a key issue. The police are making public accusations without following through with formal charges, which is highly unusual in standard legal proceedings. Some are seeing this as evidence of a pattern where Atlanta authorities target successful rappers, often using RICO statutes. After the high-profile YSL case involving Young Thug and Gunna, there's been speculation that law enforcement is applying similar tactics to other artists. What's Lil Baby up against? Here, the full timeline of events that police and prosecutors are trying to connect goes like this. 1. May 2024, Lil Baby films a music video in what police later describe as rival gang territory. Shots are fired during filming, injuring 3 people. 2. June 29, 2024, Trevante Turner, allegedly a member of the Goodfellas OMF, is killed. Police claim this was retaliation by 4PF associates for the music video shooting. 3. July 2, 2024, 2 13-year-olds, Layman Freeman and Jacody Davis, along with an 11-year-old who survived, are shot at Sparks Apartments. Police claim this was Goodfellas retaliating for Turner's death. 4. February 2025. Police arrest 7 Goodfellas OMF members for the murders of the 2 teenagers. 5. During subsequent court proceedings, Marissa Viverito presents evidence including the recovered disappearing messages and wiretaps. The complication for Lil Baby is that while he denies involvement in any criminal activity, the digital evidence recovered by investigators is painting a different picture. But here's the key point. Much of this evidence appears to be circumstantial or based on what other people said about Lil Baby, not direct proof of his actions. For example, the wiretap evidence doesn't capture Lil Baby ordering hits. It captures someone else saying they heard he had bounties out. That's a crucial distinction in terms of evidence quality. Similarly, the Instagram messages connect J-Shot to Lil Baby, but they don't directly implicate Baby in criminal activity. Police are trying to build a web of connections that ultimately leads back to Baby as the alleged leader of 4PF, which they're characterizing as a criminal street gang rather than just a record label. What Baby likely never anticipated was how thoroughly digital evidence could be recovered and how conversations that weren't directly about him could end up being used against him. Now let's talk about what might have been going through Lil Baby's mind throughout all this. By all accounts, he's been focused on legitimate business ventures, even reportedly distancing himself from the 4PF brand. He rebranded his label as Glass Window Entertainment under Motown and Capitol, possibly to move away from any gang associations that might come with the 4PF name. That doesn't sound like someone who expected to be at the center of a potential RICO case. It sounds like someone who was trying to distance himself from anything that could be construed as gang activity. But here's where the tragedy of the situation comes in. Regardless of what Lil Baby intended, the consequences of that fateful video shoot were devastating. 2 young boys lost their lives in the chain of events that followed. And while Lil Baby's attorneys argue he had no involvement in that violence, the families of those children are looking for justice. Why nothing truly disappears. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Is Lil Baby actually going to face RICO charges? Despite all the rumors and speculation, the truth is we just don't know yet. What we do know is that the original source suggesting an indictment was coming appears to have been misinterpreted. Sean Hoover, as a public defender, would be preparing to defend against charges, not bring them. As of April 5th, 2025, there's been no official confirmation of any RICO indictment against Lil Baby from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, which would be responsible for bringing such charges. So while the rumors are flying, there's no concrete evidence that charges are imminent. That said, the evidence presented in court, particularly those recovered disappearing messages and wiretaps, suggests that investigators are at least trying to build a case connecting Lil Baby to alleged gang activities. Whether that evidence is strong enough to support RICO charges remains to be seen. What's striking about this entire situation is how it demonstrates the permanence of digital communication. Lil Baby, like many of us, probably assumed that disappearing messages on platforms like Instagram actually disappeared after being viewed. The revelation that law enforcement can recover these messages is a stark reminder that in the digital age, nothing truly vanishes. As one person put it,
just a brief interruption. Being a criminal is so difficult, bruh. And I hope all you criminals and street dudes is listening, bruh. She just said that they recovered the messages that was sent in disappearing mode. Y'all be thinking that things like Snapchat and Instagram disappearing mode, those things are Fed proof. They're not Fed proof at all, bro. Being a criminal is so hard nowadays, bro. The messages that quote unquote disappeared on Instagram for you is still being hosted. And they was able to pull the messages that was sent in disappearing mode, self-snitching, and use it to indict them on a RICO. Oh my. Yo, the streets is cold, bro.
This reality extends far beyond alleged criminal activity. Every day, people send messages they think will disappear, post content they later delete, or engage in digital interactions they believe are temporary. This case serves as a powerful reminder that digital footprints are much more permanent than most of us realize. For artists like Lil Baby, who come from challenging backgrounds, this digital permanence creates a unique vulnerability. Even as they achieve success and try to move away from past associations, the digital trail they leave behind can follow them indefinitely. What's particularly interesting is how fans are reacting to these developments. When news first broke about Lil Baby being linked to the teen shootings, many fans rushed to his defense on social media. One ex-user commented, "How the hell are you gonna blame someone because of the criminal actions of others?" While another asked, "Why aren't they finding the shooter?" The sentiment among many fans seems to be that authorities are unfairly targeting Lil Baby rather than focusing on those directly responsible for the violence. Some fans even suggested legal action against the police, with one commenting, "He wasn't even there. Defamation lawsuit coming." This reflects a deep skepticism among many fans about the motives behind these investigations. Of course, not all reactions have been supportive. A minority of commenters do believe Lil Baby should be held accountable, with one saying, "Lock him up, please. He's a shitter person than a musician." But overall, the fan response has leaned heavily toward defending the artist. What's particularly notable is how many fans are engaging with the legal aspects of the case, showing a sophisticated understanding of concepts like defamation and the burden of proof. This suggests that fans aren't blindly supporting their favorite artist, but are critically analyzing the situation through a legal lens. This case also highlights the complex relationship between success, loyalty, and safety in the rap world. Many artists feel pressure to maintain connections to their roots and the communities they came from, even as their success potentially puts them at risk.
It comes to a point where you gotta stop trying to keep it real and keep it real with yourself, folks. You gotta keep it real with yourself. And keeping it real with yourself is, you're bigger than the hood now, bro. You know what I mean? You are bigger than the hood. You're bigger than Atlanta. You are a global superstar. You can't go in. Lil Baby can't even go to Paris. He can't even go to London. He can't even go to Africa. He can't go to Australia and walk around like a regular person and nobody notice him. He can't go to these other countries. He's a global, international superstar. You can't keep associating yourself with the hood. You keep talking about how you Crip in all these songs because you trying to keep it real for the people that's in jail or none of that, gang. No.
What he's highlighting is the difficult balance. Artists like Lil Baby have to strike. On one hand, maintaining authenticity and connections to their roots is valued in hip-hop culture. On the other hand, those same connections can create legal vulnerability, especially in an era where digital evidence never truly disappears. There's also a broader context here about how RICO laws are being applied to the hip-hop community. After the high-profile YSL case involving Young Thug, some critics have argued that prosecutors are disproportionately targeting black artists and using their creative output against them. What Wack 100 said about this dynamic resonates with many in the industry.
Young Thug situation, whatever was going on like that, whatever fire was burning, they put a lot of that out, bro. Ain't nobody stupid, ain't nobody crazy.
What he's suggesting is that after seeing what happened to Young Thug, many artists are being more cautious about their associations and public image. But what they might not realize is that the digital evidence from the past, those disappearing messages, those wiretap conversations, can still come back to haunt them. If you enjoyed this story, there's more. Just click the video and your screen and let's keep going.